come and cast your line at me. If not, just keep on diving for some new fish in the sea.
The world's a great big candy store, so let your Tootsie Roll. Come dance on through our swinging door and put some sugar in your bowl. So ladies, Hades is the spot to be where angels sure are not. Some like it hot and hot is what I got for you.
So call me savage, call me wild, but honey, please don't call me mild.
Some like it hot and hot is what I got for you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ruthie Fierberg. I am an arts journalist and the creator and host of the Why We Theater podcast, and I am so excited to bring to you the hair designer of Some Like It Hot, Mr. Josh Marquette. Hi, Josh.
Hi.
Okay, you may or may not have noticed that I really tried to do my hair very well for you today.
It's fantastic.
But I'm
It's
sure
perfect.
you would have done a much better job.
No, perfectly disheveled. I love it.
So obviously, you know, as you just said, perfectly disheveled, one of the
That's a
styles of the
compliment,
day. Yes, I know, one of the styles of the day. So when you go to look at Some Like It Hot, what are the styles of the day and what do you begin to pull from?
Well, you start with 1930s because the show takes place in 1933. So I start there, look at all the hairstyles that people were wearing. Obviously, the movie stars are the easy ones to find online and pictures of books. And so I sort of start there, and then you start looking at as many pictures as you can of everyday people. And you sort of see a parallel, but a little bit different.
Right, because we all know that we can't fully accomplish what the movie stars do.
Exactly. So you find that perfectly disheveled 1930s hair that's actually lived in and sort of everyday. Our women are mostly performers in the show, so they're sort of maybe they know how to do it a little bit better, you know, do those pin curls and finger waves a little bit better, but they're still running around and they're everyday people, so they do need to be somewhat disheveled. So that's kind of where I'm headed.
Yeah.
And figuring it out.
And one of the things that was interesting that you were just telling me was that this is still very much in process, right? Like, this is not, yes, it's 1933, here are your wigs.
Here's your style.
Exactly, and now I'm gone. You're watching the movement that they're doing, you're understanding the characters that they're becoming.
Yeah.
How is it affecting your design to watch all of it come to life?
Well, so far I've had fittings with all the women, a couple of the men, and wigs are being made. So at this point, I've sort of talked to the actors about their characters and their hairstyles for those characters, and we've sort of settled on the direction we're going. It can always change, like you're saying. So I've picked hair colors and hair textures, and those are all being made right now. And then once we get in and we have more information about the characters, the actors are more settled in their character, we'll figure out specifically, you know, I have a general idea.
Yeah.
And we'll start there and then we can change it around.
It's so fascinating though, because I guess color flashed in my mind, but texture didn't even cross my mind at all. And these are all things that you're thinking about to be authentic to the era, but also look right on a person, right? Like, I don't know that I would look so good as a platinum blonde. So even if that was the style of the time, you're probably gonna have to do some adjusting.
Maybe with some roots. Roots could help.
Totally.
Yeah, and we have a lot of black women in the show. So you can't just put stick straight hair on them and have it look natural or real, you know.
Right, Sweet
So
Sue's band is, I mean, like you were saying, they're all performers and they know how to do their own hair. Yeah. What were you most looking forward to about designing hair in general for Some Like It Hot, this period of time, who these people are?
I think doing a period show is always so fun because it really stretches your ability. You know, pin curls and finger waves aren't something you do every day on anyone, and so getting to get back in there and do it and, you know, remember how to do it is really exciting.
When was the last time you did a show
30s.
set in this time?
Drowsy Chaperone was 20s, and then Minsky's, which I did in LA, which didn't even make it to Broadway, was 30s. I don't
But
know.
of-
I don't think I've had a Broadway show that's 1930s.
I mean, of Josh's 20 Broadway shows, we are getting something new. That's so
we
exciting.
we are.
You mentioned
I can't believe
Drowsy-
it's 20.
20 is
You're the
such a
one that told me that.
milestone. Yeah. And speaking of Drowsy Chaperone, this is working with director and choreographer Casey Nicholaw again.
Mm-hmm.
Does it change what you do knowing what he tends to go for, what kind of palette that he generally creates on stage? Or is every show
makes-
from scratch?
Every show is from scratch, but it does make it easier when you've worked with Casey and Greg Barnes and you sort of have a dialogue and you know what they like, so yeah, it does make it easier. And full disclosure, I'm married to Casey. We met on Drowsy Chaperone.
We love a successful showman.
Perfect. But yeah, it does make it easier when you continue to work with people. And when you love people, it makes it even easier.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love everyone we work with, Greg and Natasha and all the designers.
Yeah, it's a tight team. You mentioned Greg Barnes specifically, the costume designer. How close are you working together so that, I'm imagining like, oh, if there's something a high collar, you're gonna want the hair to be different. And
Yeah.
how do you ever end up at an endpoint when things are constantly shifting in an original musical?
Well, Greg and I meet before anyone. I meet with Greg and we talk through the show. He talks through his ideas. Sometimes he has things already painted and sometimes he doesn't. I don't know if you've seen his renderings.
Not yet.
They're so spectacular.
He
on every
generally,
show.
I was going to say, he generally does gorgeous sketches. If
Yeah.
you can get your hands on a Greg Barnes sketch, you want to. They are practically paintings.
They are paintings. I have them in my house as artwork. They're so beautiful. So he's very specific in his costume rendering, and we look at those together. And then then I'll know if there's a collar that's going to affect the hair or a hat that's getting smashed onto my finger waves.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But Greg's so lovely to work with because I get to really be a part of the process. Sometimes there will be a costume designer that says, here, this is how the hair is going to look for this character and this character and this character. And then you're kind of in a box and then it just doesn't feel creative or collaborative.
Right.
And Greg, it's nothing but collaborative.
Also, I feel like hair should have movement to it, so it makes sense to me that there would be some flexibility there.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go a little deeper into some individual characters.
Okay.
So we spoke all about Adriana Hicks during our music panel, which if you haven't watched it, go back and watch it because it's amazing. But we heard that Adriana is just about to tear down the house. And that personality of Sugar has to come through in every piece of her. So what are you trying to use the hair to evoke in terms of like her personality?
I want the hair to help show how beautiful she is because she's so gorgeous.
Yes.
I want it just to flatter her. And yeah, give her some character. Like you said, it should have movement. It won't just sit there on her head like a crown, like her other show, her old show.
Yes, which was purposeful.
No, I didn't mean her hair. I meant a crown.
Yes, purposeful crowns.
Yeah, so some character and some movement, and of course it'll have some curl and be appropriate for.
Are there
who she
specific
is.
celebrities that you were looking at for Sugar? Because obviously we wouldn't know the names of the everyday people.
Right, Josephine Baker, obviously, I had to start with her and just, fill in there. Strangely, I looked at Clara Bow, which, because she always had, or sometimes had texture in her hair and looked fantastic. When I do my research and I'm thinking about each actor or each character, I make a page with sort of a hair world on it, I was telling you earlier. And I put all these pictures on here and just create a world for that character's hair. And then when I talk to the actor, I can see what they sort of respond to, what they think their character would do. It might be a conglomeration of 2 or 3 pictures stuck together, and so that's what I do. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. In creating that hair world, I'm also curious, what makes something right for Some Like It Hot and that it will read in a theater, especially as large as the Schubert, versus, if you were doing either a different show or something on camera? Like, how do you know that it's not just a 1933 hairstyle, but it's a Some Like It Hot hairstyle?
I think movement, like you said, is key. It has to be able to dance with the choreography and, sort of fall apart and come back together. I think that is probably the most important thing. And like I said earlier, they are everyday women. They're everyday people walking down the street. And so to be perfectly disheveled, but in the world of the 30s, is important.
We've talked a lot. Yeah, we've talked a lot about the women. Tell me about the men, because a lot of times we just think like, oh, they walk on stage the way they are. But especially in a period piece, I imagine that can't be the way it goes.
No, back then the men always, slicked their hair down, parted it on the side, and it looked perfect all day.
Yeah.
So in that case, actually, there probably won't be a lot of movement because they are sort of slicked down and perfect. Maybe a few guys will have some movement.
Right.
But they didn't have fades like we all have now. It grew in all the way down. It was clean cut, but not faded.
See, but that's the level of detail that I find so fascinating, because I wouldn't think of that, and yet I'm sure that if I were sitting in the audience and there was a fade, I wouldn't say that guy's hair is faded, but there would be something that I'd be thinking like, something's weird
Not
here.
Quite right.
Yeah. And those are the details that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, to the disappointment of many chorus boys. Ensemble men, I should say.
Tell me, you've been saying a lot about like, we're building these now, this is being built. How much hairstyling versus wig building happens for this show? And at what point did you know that was going to be the proportion?
Well, in general, in musicals, women are all wigged and most of the men are not. So you sort of come into it knowing that.
Interesting.
Each woman in this show, each ensemble woman has 4 wigs in this show. The principals each have 1, or at least 1 as far as you're concerned. We have a couple of double wigs, but 1 hairstyle. No, Jay has 2, I'm sorry. Anyway.
But that's really fun. I grew up an ensemblist, and it's always so fun because you create the world, so you get to play the most number of characters, which is why you need 4 wigs instead of 1, because you're changing all the time. What was your greatest challenge with this show?
I'm not sure if I've had it yet, because that'll happen when we get into the theater and tech. But I mean, I would say just finding different colors. So far, that's my biggest challenge, is finding the perfect color for every single person and making sure they're all different, so I don't have 4 of the same color on stage and 2 blondes.
Right, because you're also creating a variety.
Yeah. You want everyone to look different and be a thought out rainbow of
want
hair.
It to pop.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at the art from this show, which I think everybody out there by now knows I'm obsessed with the artwork for this show, and it is just the most vibrant, brilliant colors. So the show is going to have to look like that once we get in the theater, right? Like, the art reflects what you guys have been working on.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between the hairstyles that we see, because we're going from Chicago to California on this journey as they, as Joe and Jerry escape, as best they can at least.
Yeah.
Are there different styles for different places? Are you creating a different feeling?
In general, they're the same people traveling with the show. So no, it's not
right,
particularly
I guess that makes sense.
different.
Like, I don't do my hair differently if I'm in a different place.
Yeah, I mean, we did have a thought at one point of, once they get to Hollywood, then they're suddenly glamorous and, they're trying to be more Hollywood, or not Hollywood, but California. And there was that thought, but they're still their same person, so we kind of eliminated that, which saved the budget, I think, a lot.
But that's so interesting that was a point of discussion of like, oh, should it be different story-wise? No, it doesn't make sense.
Should we add a wig here for every single ensemble woman? And that's $20,000 more,
See, you're also getting the technical side of things.
Unfortunately.
Well, Josh, this has been such a pleasure speaking with you.
So nice to meet you.
I want to ask you one final question, which is, if I am sitting in the audience of Some Like It Hot, and I am looking at the full picture, but also your beautiful hair design, what do you hope people see in that hair design? And maybe they're not going to be able to say, it was the color of that, but what's the feeling that you're hoping people get when they leave the theater?
I hope that it helps you know instantly that it's 1930s, and I hope that you feel like everybody's sexy.
Ooh, I like that. Some Like It Hot, indeed.
Come on.
Josh, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. Do not forget, watch all of our videos here on Stellar for Some Like It Hot and get your tickets to see the musical, all original, built from the ground up, even every single fiber of hair. You can get your tickets to see it at the Schubert Theater. Performances begin November 1st.